Hello and welcome back to Brockport Sports Talk. I'm Jack McGilligan alongside Zack Harnischfager, and now full-time Michael Tamaro here to talk about things other than baseball and basketball. He's here full-time on these episodes now.
Thank you, Jack and Zack, for having me on.
All right, and we're going to cut straight to football as always. Zack, take it away.
So, Mike, Jack, Cam Newton made his return to Carolina on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. The Panthers won that game 34-10, and Cam Newton had 2 total touchdowns. Now, does Cam Newton make the Panthers a playoff caliber team?
I think as far as playoff caliber goes, it definitely helps them. Sam Darnold, he was a hot pile of trash the past few weeks.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
He was bad.
He was bad. P.J. Walker, I think, is a really good dynamic to that offense. You add him with Cam Newton in the red zone, I think that is a lethal duo. I think P.J. Walker, with Cam Newton's shoulder problems, it brings a lot of help to have somebody like him. Cam Newton, can't sling it around the field like he did before. Right. But I will say, when Cam Newton gets that rushing touchdown, he gets that ball in the red zone and shouts, "I'm back!" It was a very good moment. As somebody who has had, Cam Newton is one of my favorite players, really of all time. And I was like, young, like around 10 years old when he was in his rookie year. So I was pretty happy to see him back in that Carolina Panthers uniform, getting all hyped, getting touchdowns again.
What do you think?
Yeah, so Cam Newton a few years ago, he won MVP as the quarterback of the Panthers. Over the years after that, his play seemed to have declined. I mean, when he went to the Patriots last season, his play he wasn't good at all. I mean, he had what? How many touchdowns do you have? Less than 10?
He had an 8-10 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah,
it wasn't good. Passing wise.
It's like, what happened to him when he was on the Panthers? Now, speaking of now, he's back with the Panthers, and Sam Darnold got hurt, and he is not going to be playing for now. He's probably going to be better than Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold, he was not good with the Jets either, and he has not seemed to be playing that well with the Panthers either. So Cam Newton, he probably could be a little better. I mean, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I do want to say 2015 was his MVP year.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
More than a few, but I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
And as for me, I think it's too early to tell, really. I think, we're still getting there. I know we're at the halfway point, but I think we need to see how the season progresses more to really see how his performance is, and then we can judge it when it comes to it. All right, so... Guys, the Buffalo Bills bounced back in a big way, defeating the Jets 45-17. They host a hot Colts team this week. How can the Colts come away with the victory? And what are your guys' thoughts on how the game will turn out?
Well, we saw it with the Jacksonville game. They just dominated them at the line of scrimmage, like I said after that game. They took advantage of that offensive line, the injuries with Feliciano and other things. I think they just got to get to Josh Allen and make him make the rookie mistakes that he did against the Jaguars, because getting pressure on him, making him make mistakes is how you get him. There needs to you can't let Josh Allen get a clean pocket. You either got to suffocate his receivers or go after them on the line. And right now, with how weak that offensive line is, you got to attack that offensive line. You got to get pressure on Josh Allen.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with what Jack said. You have to make sure that he's not getting his passing, because in his rookie year he had a lot of issues with passing accuracy. And if they do the same thing as the Jaguars did the other day, they probably couldn't make similar results to what the Jaguars did. But despite all that, I still think that the Bills are going to beat them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the Bills are definitely going to beat them. I think that Jets game showed that they took the time to adjust after that Jaguars game. It was a rough one. I don't blame people if they have less faith in the Bills after that one, for sure. I certainly have a little less faith, even though I do think they're still the top team in the AFC. But I think they will definitely come out with that win against the Colts. How are you feeling, Zach?
Well, as a Colts fan, I think I do definitely think the Colts will win this game. I know their secondary's been a little banged up, but they got a really good run game. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been tearing up defenses. The Bills' run defense isn't that great, and I know the Bills' defense is really good against the pass. But I definitely think this is going to go back to the wild card game. I think it's going to be a really good game. It's really going to come down to the wire. So,
I agree.
all right. The Rams struggled, losing they lost their second straight game this time against the divisional rival, the 49ers. They're coming up against one of the top teams after their bye week, the Green Bay Packers. Do you guys believe they are still a top-tier team in the NFC? And what do you make of their Super Bowl chances?
I think that there's definitely some dents in the armor now. I think the Rams, they went all in, as we said before. They went all in, getting Von Miller, trading all these picks for Matt Stafford and doing this stuff. They went all in for the Super Bowl, and the fact that they're struggling against teams like the Niners and the Titans. The Titans, are one of the top teams in the AFC, but the Niners, that's a tough loss to take, especially with Matt Stafford taking a step back from how elite he's been throughout the season, I think we could say that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Whether you attribute that to the McVay offense or whatnot. But I think, give them some time. I think they'll still be one of the top teams in the NFC. They will definitely get a wild card spot. They're too good.
So for the Rams, they recently signed Odell Beckham Jr. to help their wide receiving core. But unfortunately, Robert Woods III is going to be missing the rest of the season due to torn ACL injury. And for Odell, he was one of the top wide receivers with the Giants. He made Eli Manning look like an elite quarterback for a few years, and I'm a Giants fan. But, when he went to Cleveland, or got traded to Cleveland, his play seemed to have declined. And I personally think it's more on Baker than it was him. They barely targeted Odell. So now he's on the Rams. I believe that he's going to play better because I think Matthew Stafford's a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. And I think Matthew Stafford will get the ball to him a lot more.
Absolutely, and a big way that these Rams can bounce back is if they beat the Packers. If they beat the Packers, then I definitely think they cement themselves as one of the top NFC teams. Like you said, I definitely still do think they are a top NFC team, but I think definitely with this win, it will cement themselves as the top team in the NFC. So, fellas, the Detroit Lions and Pittsburgh Steelers played one of the worst games in NFL history. The game ended in a tie, 16-16. What are your guys' thoughts?
It was a horrid affair, Zach. It was bad.
Agree.
Jared Goff has 11 passing yards and a half. You have Mason Rudolph, a QB who cannot beat out geriatric Ben Roethlisberger for that starting QB job in Pittsburgh. He's throwing 50 passes in a game, and we're trying to pass this off as entertainment. It's rough. Jared Goff only ends up with over 100. I think it's around 126 yards passing. It's just bad. There's sloppy play on both ends. It wasn't even like the Jaguars-Bills game was a boring game. Yeah. I think that was a very boring game, but you felt like that the defenses were doing something. They were really good. Yeah. I didn't feel that with the Steelers game. I just felt like it was incompetent offense.
Yeah. Well, Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger's not been the quarterback he once was several years ago. Mm-hmm. He's not good either, and Mason Rudolph isn't a good quarterback either. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't playing, but Rudolph was, and that his bad play is not going to equal victory. And since they're playing the Detroit Lions, they're not going to. It's not going to be really much competition on defense either. But since you have two bad quarterbacks going at each other, I don't expect a lot of scoring to go on, no matter how bad your defense is.
No, I mean, that was just a bad game. I mean, I understand it was raining, but that was really rough. I mean, so Jared Goff, he was a really good quarterback in 2018, led the Rams to the Super Bowl. Yes. And then, I don't know, I guess just declined in 3 years. I mean, that was a really bad game by Jared Goff. And I think that's what happens when you play in a city like Detroit. I guess that's what they'll do to you.
Like, you could attribute a lot of it to McVay if you want to, but, I mean, the decline from something like that to now being on an 0-8-1 Detroit Lions team. We won't have the first ever 0-17 team in NFL history. Just thought you guys would like to know that.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's just an amazing decline. It's like he just doesn't care anymore. He's got the money. He's in Detroit. He realizes they're not a playoff team. I don't know.
No. All right, so now, Jack, with baseball.
The AL and NL Cy Young and MVP voting has been announced. We've got Robbie Ray and Corbin Burns with the Cy Youngs in their respective leagues. How are you guys feeling about that? Mike, take it away.
I think that they probably did both deserve their Cy Youngs. See, Robbie Ray, he was with the Diamondbacks before with the Blue Jays, and he had shown signs of being an elite pitcher. I mean, he'd striked out a lot of the batters, but there was times where he would just walk too many guys, and that really diminished his value around the league. Last offseason, the Blue Jays traded for him, and he has been a much better pitcher because of it, and luckily for him that he won Cy Young for it. And for Corbin Burns, there's been debate that it should have been Zack Wheeler, but Zack Wheeler had more innings and stuff, and that's another reason, but Burns finished with a lower inning. And you wonder, do innings really matter? And I say it really does matter, but if it's pitchers being utilized differently on the team, it shouldn't be penalized on him. Like, Burns was pitched less during his games, not because he was pitching poorly, but the fact that their bullpen was really good, and there was no need to stretch him out for games. Meanwhile, for the Phillies, Zack Wheeler, their bullpen was not good enough, and that would force Joe Girardi to extend his innings a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there is definitely validity to talking about innings versus ERA and fielding independent pitching, FIP, which Burns was much better on. And I think there's a value to be taken there between the two. And I just think it was very close. I think it was pretty close, but I think Burns was definitely deserving of that Cy Young because he was just so much better with the FIP, with the ERA, and he just provided more value. You get those more innings, but how much more valuable are those innings? You're going later into the games. Looking at his late game ERA, it was like over 5 earned runs. I mean, when you're getting more innings, they also have to be similarly valuable to your opponents.
Yeah, I think both pitchers are deserving of the awards. I mean, you look at Robbie Ray, he had a 2.84 ERA. He led all American League pitching with a 6.7 WAR. And you look at Burns, who had a 2.43 ERA, which was first, and he had 35.6 strikeouts per 9 inning, which was also first. So both pitchers, I mean, they pitched amazing this year. And, like you said, I think I disagree with you both. I think ERA is more meaningful than innings because, obviously ERA, earned run averages, and both of them were sub 3. And that's how you're going to be successful as a pitcher in the majors, is keeping your ERA low and having your team back you up. So I think, like I said, both pitchers were very deserving. So,
but the thing is with the innings pitch, if you pitch more innings, you're most likely going to have a higher ERA than someone who has less innings. Corbin Burns had a lower ERA, but he had less innings. Zack Wheeler had a higher ERA, but he had more innings, and that's because of, like I said, the lack of bullpen arms in the Phillies bullpen. So I'm just wondering why you can you elaborate more a little bit on it?
Well, I think you're wrong. Like I said, so anyway, ERA, as you were getting at, is just more meaningful because if you're giving up five runs in 3 innings, then your ERA is going to be high. But if you give up 5 runs in 8 innings, your ERA would be lower. So therefore, I think ERA is more better.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Corbin Burns, he's not like pitching less innings because he was pitching poorly. He was doing that because they have a good bullpen and there's no need to stretch him. Yeah. And like I said, for Zack Wheeler, he's pitching a lot more because the bullpen is not good enough. So Girardi's like, okay, I can't trust his bullpen, so let me just extend Zack Wheeler's pitching. And that will probably cause the ERA to increase. So I was just wondering your thoughts on that part.
No, I see where you're coming from, and to be honest with you, we'll discuss that more later on. But I definitely think your opinion is very wrong.
Okay.
Okay. A little bit of anger there, but
the MVPs now.
Yes, the MVPs. Shohei Ohtani won the AL MVP. Bryce Harper, he wins the NL MVP. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Let's kick it off with Mike again.
So for Shohei Ohtani, I think that was probably the spot-on reward for anybody so far.
I must mention unanimous decision.
Unanimous. So that is probably, yes, he deserved to be unanimous. You hit well at elite level, you pitch well at elite level, you deserve to win MVP. I'm sorry to Vlad Guerrero and Marcus Semien. They both had great seasons. They probably could have won MVP if Shohei Ohtani did not exist. But, since they don't pitch, I don't see why it would be anybody else but Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, he's just too good. I mean, you provide that much value, pitching, batting. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime season so far. Obviously,
Right.
Ohtani's career is young, but that's a once-in-a-lifetime talent, once-in-a-lifetime type of season. You've got to reward him for that. As much as Vlad Guerrero Jr., he is going to most likely win MVPs in his career unless, injuries or other stuff takes over. But, I mean, he's extremely talented.
Absolutely, and when was the last time we saw this? What, like Babe Ruth? We're talking,
Well,
20s.
We've never seen this.
Well, no, but I'm saying like, MLB hasn't seen something like this in 50, 60 years. It's been a while since we've seen somebody who can pitch well and somebody who can hit well. And if you can hit the ball over 100 miles an hour and pitch over 100 miles an hour, something special. And it'll definitely be exciting to watch this kid's career continue on and just how he performs in the rest of his MLB career.
All right, Mike, let's move on to some NBA talk.
NBA talk. Okay, so the first thing we have, with Steph Curry's hot stretch, are the Warriors favorites for the title once again. Klay Thompson is also set to return in a few weeks after missing the past 2 seasons with injuries. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that the Golden State Warriors, they are an elite team. I think they will be competing in that West, definitely. Steph Curry, I mean, he's just insane. What can you say about him? It hasn't already been said. Infinite range, blah, blah, blah. Threes, out the wazoo. He's great. He's amazing. They've also got Andrew Wiggins, who has been a surprisingly good support role. I think, getting out of Minnesota is very good for him. Minnesota is just a hell pit, really. Let's be honest. It's not a good place, not a good franchise, and getting out of there, getting to Golden State has been very beneficial for his career, even if he's not quite the first-round pick. And, I think Klay Thompson, who knows how he's going to be, but any addition that he brings is going to be great.
And there's also Jordan Poole, who was past few seasons used to be like the worst NBA players, but now he's actually turned to a solid player, and that's really going to help the Warriors improve their title chances. The more good players you have, obviously, the better chances you have at a title.
Yeah, they've got better depth than they did last season. Yeah,
they do, and they don't have Kevin Durant anymore, but they're still playing at a very elite level. You have any thoughts on that, Zach?
Yeah, I think the Golden State Warriors are definitely gonna, we all know how they did last year, and it was not that good. And I definitely think now with Curry playing at that level, and Thompson coming back, he's gonna play at that high level. I think this Warriors team is gonna be a team to watch out for in the NBA.
All right. So the Lakers, they had a very big offseason signing washed-up former All-Stars. They have been very, they've been very mediocre at the start of the season. They're 8-8 so far. Outside of LeBron, AD, and even Carmelo Anthony, surprisingly, the team has not looked well. Should there be a reason for concern?
I think there definitely should be a reason for concern as far as their championship hopes go. I think they just don't have the depth maybe to do it right now. But you know how LeBron works. Trade deadline, this team's probably going to look completely different. So I'm not going to sit here and say, the Lakers, they're not going to be a top team in the West. I think they figure it out. I think LeBron, LeGM is going to be going big in the trade deadline. But with Russell Westbrook, I think he's going to pick it up. He's always been a player to start slow. His efficiency isn't great, but I think he's going to pick it up and be a good floor general like he always is. And I think Carmelo Anthony, he hasn't been bad obviously, but efficiency-wise, I think they need to spread the ball around a bit more. But again, the problem is if they spread it around, who are they spreading it to?
Jack, so what do you think is the ceiling for this Lakers team?
I mean,
with everyone healthy.
As it's constructed right now, I don't see them competing with teams like the Suns or the elite of the West or the Warriors. I don't see them competing. I think if LeBron tools this team, any team with him and Anthony Davis and the addition of Westbrook, who I think will be playing at all-star level by the end of the season, I think is definitely going to be a team that can compete for the finals with some retooling.
Do you have any thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, again, I got to agree with Jack on this. I think the Lakers, it's not time to panic yet. LeBron James, he's a great player. We've all seen it, in his 19-year career, along with Anthony and Westbrook. I definitely think later on in the season, they'll pick it up and figure things out and get grooving.
All right, thank you again. That is all the time we have for Brockport Sports Talk. For Zack Harnsfager and Michael Tamara, I'm Jack McGilligan. We'll see you next week.